My name is David Metler, and my occupation currently is as a substitute teacher and as a musical magician.
My name is Lee Gaddis, and I'm the media coordinator for Occupy Detroit.
Park. So the first part of this is like there's a space where we're gonna hold this space, one for visibility, and I think two, one of the biggest things that came out of it was actually a model for how people can live together in community and treat each other and provide goods for each other in a way that is actually fair. And I think that's something, if you came down to Occupy Detroit when the tent city happened and was happening, you would notice that there were there's a food tent which is open to anyone. You don't have to pay to get in, so it's not like, you know, this system where you have to have money to get something you need. And then clothing and medical, all of that, those needs were covered for people, I think, for the most part. And I know medical can cover basic things at the camp, but for the most part, it was trying to model how people can live together and as a community. Then the second part is the General Assembly. The second head of the Dragon is General Assembly, so that's where they make decisions for the entire Occupy Detroit movement, and also like in connection to the larger movement. And that's pretty important for how do we make decisions together, because I think it's been consensus upon that we don't want to elect people anymore, that we want to lead ourselves. And figuring out how the masses can make decisions together with everyone having an equal voice takes a lot of time. So that's the second part. And then the third part are the working groups, because that's where everything actually gets done. So the decisions are made and then they're implemented and worked on and collaborated on in the working groups.
So I understand how media is used to manipulate people to get them to buy things, because that was one of my first jobs.
I don't need the newer best phone, or I don't need a deal on a large TV. Like I feel like I just kind of check that as an individual, that like I'm okay with the things I have. I mean, we're all locked in this economic system.
You know, so we as a community need to decide on where we're going to spend our money. That we have the power to do.
Look at what had to happen for you to get that nice Nike jacket, because it was made by people who are working in conditions that you would never put your kids in.
We have to think about who do we value in a society. The only people that we don't need are people gambling on Wall Street. There's no, you know, they're making thousands of dollars a minute, you know, but if you make $1,000 a month because you're unemployed, not because the work doesn't need to be done, the factories are still manufacturing things, they're just manufacturing them in China and in Mexico, right? The advertising industry tells you, no, you need to spend your money with these top big companies. Unless you have this deodorant or this type of hair or these boots, you know, then somehow you're not whole as a person. You know, so what we have to do is redefine what makes us whole. What do we need to value? Do I need to kill you over your glasses? No. You know, do I need to kill you over your car? No. Not if we have mass transit, not if we're all working together to form a better society.
High school students will be wearing like Abercrombie and Fitch, or like those shirts that are like, I am the property of University of Michigan. I'm not advertising for someone.
What we're looking at is we become less citizens and more consumers, right? Talk about Black Friday, people killing each other and macing each other in order to buy stuff.
Because it's hard. Like the majority of messages that young people get are like, you should want more. Like you need more money. Like you need more houses. You need a lot of cars. Like, so you're combating a lot of messages that are very ingrained.
And that's the point that we're at right now. And that's what Occupy Detroit is doing. We're saying, you know, we have solutions to all of these problems that don't include making corporate America richer. And that's why they're fighting us.
Because I think the foreground right now, at least, is foreclosures, is the school system, is kind of the spiritual values of the city.
Right? We're looking at a system where there's no such thing as the commons, right? That we don't own anything as a society. The only people that are allowed to own things are private institutions, right? So they want to privatize your police by contracting it out to mercenaries. They want to privatize the fire department by contracting out to prisoners, right? They want to privatize roads. Now you have to pay tolls to drive up and down roads. You know, they want to privatize the lighting department because some profit company feels that they can get a hold of $3.9 billion is generated by Detroit that we pay in taxes and then siphon that off to their corporation somewhere, right? So what we're looking at is we as a society generate this money and then people want to privatize it and then siphon it off into their for-profit corporations instead of saying we need city workers to do the lighting department, we need city workers to pick up the garbage, we need city workers to be our police, we need city workers to be our fire department that employs people in the community, that then spend money in the community, that then buy houses and pay property taxes. And that benefits us as a whole, as a commons, as a community. And that's the shift that we need to get back to, because this shifting it into somehow Wall Street and business can do it better is BS. It's complete hogwash.
Like, people get used to the way they live, and it's really hard because I sometimes, like in the suburbs, you see those huge houses. In Detroit, you see huge houses. And I kind of look at them and I'm like, I don't know. I can't imagine how people get those feelings inside, like that's what they need. And so I think the way that change happens is kind of like you represent how you live. It's like the be the change motto. And I think like when I talk to young people or like they ask me about what I care about or like the things that I value, they see an example of like, like, okay, maybe I don't need like 6 cars. Like I drive like a 92 minivan that smells like tuna fish and I like it. And I feel like when younger kids see me confident and like think that's cool, they're like, whoa, like maybe I don't want a Lexus anymore, maybe I want a Mini. No, I'm just kidding. That most kids don't say that. But like with houses too, like I want a house someday, but I want it really small. Like I want to see my family, and I just don't think that people, it's like a show of like, it's like a very showy thing to build a huge house and have that be what you want to show to your kids. Like you need that, or like that represents your status, or and I think that changes by personal examples.
The destabilizing factor is when we decided to lower tariffs, move those jobs overseas, and therefore create a permanent underclass of people who can't find work because you can't go over to China and get a job, right? You know, but capital can move. You know, people have figured out a way to game the system and funnel the money up to the 1% and leave the other 99% of us down at the bottom. Rich are getting smaller, right? Middle class getting smaller, working poor and poverty getting larger. If we had wages at had kept up with the same rate as inflation, right now we'd be making $16.50 an hour, if just by those increases from 1980 till today. So we're at an impasse now. And what Occupy Detroit is saying that we need to pay people, regular average working people, a decent wage, and we need to stop funneling money to the top, and we need to do things that benefit ourselves as a community. But the first thing we need to do is work as a community together. We need to get enough people together to decide that this is what we're going to do. And we need to have that conversation about what that change is going to look like. Yeah, the first thing the media tried to do was ignore us, hoping it'll go away. Then they ridicule you. Then they attack you, and then you win. I mean, that's the Gandhi strategy, right? Because the first thing they did, they tried to ignore us, and then they realized that we weren't going away. Then they tried to make fun of us. Oh, just a bongo playing, pot smoking hippie sitting in a park. What can they do, right? Then we changed the whole national dialogue. Then we started doing actions, right? When we said, everybody take their money out of Bank of America, and 600,000 people put their money into credit unions, right? Now, we're hitting people where they live at. We're talking about financial solutions to problems. We're talking about defunding those people that are hurting us, right? So when millions of dollars move out of banks and into credit unions, that's power, right? Because you have the power to affect change. You have the power to affect corporations where they live, which is in their bottom line, in their financial statements. And we're going to keep doing that. And that's what makes Occupy Detroit powerful, because we can mobilize large amounts of people to take actions in unison. You hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. And that's what Occupy is doing. Occupying is preparing for the worst. We have to prepare people. If this society collapses tomorrow, can you feed yourself? Can you clothe yourself? Can you provide shelter for yourself? If we have wind and solar, then yes, you have power. You don't need DTE or a nuclear power plant, right? If you can grow your own food, you don't need Alcoa and all these other giant agro farms, right? If you can make your own clothing, or barter with somebody who knows how to make those clothing, then you don't need to buy child labor from China or Jamaica or Haiti, right? Made clothing. So local scales of economy.
I think that people need to kind of feel the amazingness of everything. Like, we're on a planet in the middle of a solar system, and people take that for granted every day.
And they think that they're going to be insulated forever, but nothing lasts forever. As the auto industry learned, and as Wall Street learned in '08, you have to adapt, or you die.
There's just some really incredible force, whatever you want to say, that is just allows just anything to happen every day.